Our main topic today is mental health or mental illnesses. I want to talk about the types of mental illnesses in our societies, whereby we have the anxiety disorder. In anxiety disorder, it comes from the word anxious, whereby in anxiousness, one becomes anxious of a certain issue, a certain situation, or a certain condition that brings them think that. Let me give an example of COVID-19 that happened or that came into that brought the world that standstill, whereby where one could get any issue or remember they used to tell us the signs and symptoms of COVID, sneezing, coughing, red eyes, and when one could get into such a situation, what came into their mind, they thought that they also having same problem, so they were anxious that they could be having COVID, but in actual sense they didn't have this, and then this goes back to their mental status or their way of feeling that they could be, so they were anxious about the COVID-19, but in actual sense they didn't have this, but this was due to the way they thought they could be having the disease. Another type is depression. As we know that depression goes through a series or steps one to become depressed. Want to become depressed, you start with what we call stress. When the stress stays so long or it goes into weeks, when you're stressed, you fall into what we call depression, and then depression actually starts from your mental status or the way you think, the way you feel, the way actually it's all about the thoughts, the perception, how you perceive something, and then it brings you into depression. And the outcomes of depression, in most cases, people end up thinking about killing themselves, thinking about they are not liked in society. So depression is a broader topic, but with time we shall elaborate more about depression. Then the most common type of mental illness, it is the post-traumatic stress disorder, where one is healing and then there are these series that they go through whereas healing. So the post-traumatic stress disorder is the most common because it goes through a series. You're from the anxiety, the depression, and then you're into the healing stage. It also affects much our mental, in that it affects us a lot. Others, we have the schizophrenia as a type. We have the eating disorders. We have the disruptive behavior disorders. We have the neurodevelopmental and others. So those are some of the types of the mental health statuses or the mental illnesses that we go through as humans. Another thing is I can talk about the outcomes, the problems that they cause to us, or that affect us when we are into these stages of mental illness or mental health. One of the problems or the outcomes as we're going through the mental health statuses are we have panic, whereby in this panic mode, one can come and tell you something and then you start panicking just out of the blue, or from actually out of the blue, you start panic or you start quaking. Another thing is blackouts. People do blackout. As we all know, blackouts. Standing in one place, you think about something and then you black out. You go into what we can call actually I can describe it, let's assume you just die. That is another way of blacking. You just black out and then you don't know what is taking place. Another thing is one of the outcomes I can talk about attacks. When we were still in school, we used to see girls. They could get these attacks and then they were carried out. But in most cases, these attacks are so much brought, almost so brought by the depression or the mental illnesses. Another problem, it is the hunger. Not this anger, angry of food, but the anger. This hunger, in most cases, it is brought by when we were still in school. I'll give so much examples of school whereby you could see someone with something so nice and you feel that they are not worth it, and you think that it could be you with it. How could they be with something that how could one be with something yet it's not you with it? So there is this hunger that develops in you, in your behavior, and then it tickles the mental, and then it results into we get into what we call the anxiousness, and then we get into what we call anxiety, or we develop what we call anxiety disorder. So among the list that I've mentioned, among the outcomes or the problems, I've talked about the panics, the attacks, the hunger, the blackout. So when one is going through depression or mental health status, those are some of the outcomes that come along the way when one is going through mental health illnesses.